What's up, everyone? Let me know if you can hear me. I'm just getting everything set up. I can't actually see my screen right now, so let me know if you can hear me. I'm going to start live on Instagram as well. So, ooh, can they not hear me? Can you guys hear me? There we go. There I am. What's up, guys? We are live. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome if you're on Instagram or on YouTube. Let me know where you are watching from, and also to say hello down there in the chat. Sam, this is an American channel, so it's called soccer here. I'm actually English, and I typically call it football, but you know, it wouldn't make sense to call it simply football in America. What's up, everyone joining on Instagram? Good to have you here. We're doing this both on Instagram and on YouTube right now, answering your questions. Just again, let me know where you are watching this from, whether you are watching on Instagram or you are watching on YouTube. I'm doing really well, Impolite Prince. Thanks for asking, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, Liverpool versus Manchester City coming up in the Champions League. I am super pumped. I kind of wanted to get a non-English team, which I think we're the only two left, just because I wanted to get like a Real Madrid or a Bayern Munich, because I think they would have underestimated us or not being used to our style, where Manchester City's played us enough, or Pep has played Klopp enough times to know what to expect. So there's no like element of surprise, but you know, we never know. We might still be able to pull it off, but I'm very excited. Anything can happen at this stage at the quarterfinals. So I'm really excited to see us play Man City and hopefully get to the semis. And once you get to that point, anyone can win it at that point. All right, guys, so it looks like we are, last time Liverpool won, so I'm very happy. It looks like we got a lot of people coming in. Again, if you're just joining, say hello. Let me know where you are watching from. I love to hear all the countries you guys are watching from. We have India represented. Imperial Gaming, what's up? I don't know what you asked, but I'll reply to you asking me to reply. Hey, how are you? Watching from YouTube, I guess that's the real answer. Yeah, so we got Young BS21 from England, Nirmal from India, Deepak India, OGB from New York, Johannes from Germany. We got Mexico, Dubai, Pakistan, Great Britain, Bahrain, is that how you pronounce that? And Antigua, Morocco, Minnesota. All right, so we got a few places represented here: Turkey, Greece. We got an Instagram. We got the United States. We got someone from Ecuador living in New York, Syria, and some more from India. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. So let me tell you how this is going to work for those of you who are new. Essentially, I have some questions you guys asked me in the YouTube community tab, and then we're going to answer your questions in the chat. So I only really have a couple from the tab that I want to answer, including the one that this is actually titled. If you're watching on Instagram, the title is How to Recover from a Big Loss. Thanks, man. And so we're going to go over that question, and we're also going to answer all your questions live. So let's go over this first question, which is essentially what to do after a big loss, because one of you asked me, how do you recover from a 7-0 defeat, which is, you know, a pretty big loss. So, I mean, the answer is very, very simple. I mean, I'm pretty sure like half of you know what I'm going to say. But when it comes to any loss whatsoever, I don't care if it's a 1-0, I don't care if it's a 7-0, you know, you just have to kind of move on. You learn the lessons that you need to learn from the game, and then you move on, and you don't dwell on it, because the worst thing you can do after a loss or a mistake or a failure in general is to keep thinking about it. Because, you know, I mean, how many people have something that they did a long time ago, like a bad game or like an embarrassing moment, that they keep beating themselves up for over and over again? You just got to let these things go. It's in the past. It's over. You know, if you lose a match, it doesn't matter by how much. You take what you can learn from the match, and then take that moving forward, work on those areas if you think that's appropriate for, you know, whatever it was, whatever mistakes you made, and then you have to move on and forget about it. You know, what was it? The 2014 World Cup, Germany killed Brazil, what, 7-1? You know, that doesn't mean the players on Brazil are bad, but I doubt, like, they're still beating themselves up about it, and that's one of the biggest losses in history in a World Cup. So, you know, you just got to move on. It's really the only thing you can do, because there's not, what do you gain by thinking about it over and over and over and over again and beating yourself up over and over and over again? You stand nothing to gain, and in fact you lose a lot, because a lot of your attention is now focused on this previous mistake, where that attention could be focused on how do I improve. You know, that attention and energy could be focused in more practicing to make sure that doesn't happen again. You know, exactly. Take the L's and learn, as Diego says. And that's what you want to do. You learn from your mistakes, you learn from your L's, or whatever you want to call them, and then you move on. And for victories, you do this as well. Like if you win a game 7-0, do you remember it? Do you keep thinking about it for months and months and months? No, typically we look to move on and get the next win, but for some reason we tend to dwell on mistakes a lot longer. So the best thing to do, learn from it and move on. That's really the only thing you can do. And if you're beating yourself up over it, you know, if you need to forgive yourself, you do what you need to do to get over it, and then, you know, focus on right now. Don't focus on a loss from the past, even if that loss was only a week ago. Okay, so I answered one of the comments you guys gave me before this stream. Let's get some of your comments in the chat. So who's got a question? Who's got a burning question they want me to have a crack at, try answer? Okay. S-Force asks, hello, I have an ankle injury. For that, after 2 months later, I can shoot goodly. Please help. Goodly, do you mean you're not shooting well, or you're shooting well? Because that sounds like you're saying you can shoot very well. But I'm going to assume you're saying you can't shoot that well. So, I mean, it's like anything, man. Like, when you come off a long-term injury, you have to get back up to speed, especially with things that require muscle memory and things that require a lot of repetition. So with shooting, like the best way, I'll give you the advice I give anyone who's trying to work on their shooting, their technique, striking the ball cleanly, is get a ball, go to a wall, and practice repetition after repetition after repetition. Now, don't do that wildly or blindly. Make sure you are doing that with, you know, a strategy. Like, you know how to shoot it. Maybe you looked up a tutorial, or you know how to strike the ball and all that. Like, you're not just shooting aimlessly. But go to a wall and practice proper technique over and over again. Nothing will get you better at shooting, really, than doing that, because it's going to be the repetition of the proper technique over and over and over again that's going to get you back up to speed with your shooting. And really, like, if you want to improve your shooting in general, for any of you, using a wall is so great, because again, using a net's more satisfying. Like, when you hit that perfect shot into the upper corner, you know, that's awesome, absolutely. But, you know, if you want the repetition and you want, you know, something that's going to help you improve quickly, it may not be as glamorous, but shooting against a wall is something that's going to get you those repetitions. It's something you can do in a short amount of time, and it's just overall the best thing you can do. And also, you don't need much. You need a ball and a wall. Anyone can find a wall. Anyone can find a wall to shoot against or pass against. There's so many drills, so much you can improve with just a little bit of space, a wall, and a ball. So let's see if you guys have any questions over on Instagram, and then we'll get back to the YouTube chat. I know someone asked me what I'm drinking. I get this question every single time. It's a green juice. So most mornings I'll drink what's called a green juice. It's basically like vegetable juice. Okay, so I don't see any questions right now in the Instagram chat. So we'll get another one from you in YouTube. And then if something pops up on the Instagram, I'll answer that as well. Here's a good one. So Suchit Kaluru, I might be pronouncing that wrong, but it says what to do when nobody believes you can achieve your dream. I'm going to say it doesn't matter if nobody believes you can achieve your dream. It matters what you believe. And this goes for anything else. It really does not matter what anybody else believes. It doesn't, because ultimately it's your life to live. And so if someone doesn't believe in your dreams, you know, it's not their dream to pursue. It's not their dream to live. Let them worry about their own ambitions and own dreams. And you'll find a lot of people who, I find this to be the case with people who aren't actually going over or trying to achieve something, like moving towards a goal. You know, people who don't have goals typically will try and shoot down the people that do, because it's easier to shoot somebody down and be like, yeah, you're never going to achieve what you want to achieve, than to actually go out and do it yourself. So people will take the lazy route and just say, you can't do this and you can't do that. But who cares? Who cares if someone else doesn't believe in your dream? Who cares if someone doesn't believe you can do it? It does not matter. It has no influence over whether or not you'll actually achieve what you want to achieve. So don't concern yourself with whether someone believes you can achieve your dream or not. You know, most people who have made it to a professional level of football, who have become successful in any area of life, really, they always had the doubters. But despite having those people who didn't believe in their vision, their dream, whatever it is, they still went for it and got there. And for those of you who are saying, will you answer my question? I can only answer one question at a time. And if you want me to not answer your question, saying things like, my God, will you ever answer my question, is not a very good way to encourage me to answer yours. All right, so let me see if I can scroll up on the Instagram feed here. I'm going to get a question on Instagram. So Garlarza 29 asks, does the environment you play in affect the way you play? I'd say that depends. Like, do you mean the environment you play in? Do you mean like if you play in a good facility? Do you mean like the players around you? Because yeah, your environment will matter. I mean, obviously, if you're playing in super nice facilities with certain equipment, you know, that can affect it. But you know, one of the beautiful things about football is you don't need much to train or get better. Like I just mentioned, you can do so much with a ball and a wall and a little bit of space. Like you can do and improve so much with just a ball, a wall, and a little bit of space. That's the beauty of football. You know, it's not like hockey where you need a bunch of equipment to do it. You know, you don't need, to buy a bunch of things. You just need a ball and a wall. Now, environment also means the players around you. So that can definitely determine whether you're going to become better or not. So I'm a big believer that the better the players are around you, the better you will become. Now, if they're like way too much better than you, like you're a new player and there's like you're playing with like semi-pro players, you're not going to get much out of that because there's too much of a skill gap. But if you're playing with players at your level or a little better than you, that's going to help you get much better. This is why I say, like, if you're playing on a team that's too easy, if you're playing on a team where you are, let's say, in the league you're in and you're able to dribble through everyone every time and score like 5 or 6 goals a game, you need to move up levels because you're not getting anything out of that. So your environment also includes the players around you. You want good players around you. Don't be that player who holds themselves back from playing around better players because you want to be a big fish in a small pond. Because sometimes, you know, a player may do that where they stay on a team that's not as great, but they're the best player in that team and they want to be the best player, so they stay in that team. But that's not going to help you improve. You need to continually be trying to play with better and better and better players because they will lift you up. You know, it's the same advice like when they say you are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with. The reason is because if you hang out with 5 people who have like a winning mentality, most likely you'll be the 6th person to have a winning mentality. If you hang out with 5 people that have a losing mentality, a victimizing mentality, they complain a lot, you'll most likely be the 6th person who does that. So your environment shapes you based on the people you hang out with too. So be hanging out with good players. Like if you know a good player who's better than you, train with that player if you can. If you're on a team where you think you're not being challenged and you think you're just too good for the team, and that's not being cocky, like look at it and go, am I too good for this team? Am I scoring too easily? Is everything too easy to me here? Then it might be time to put yourself in a better environment around better players. So that's something to consider as well. And that's a great question because, again, like one of the stages in my life where I improved the most was when I moved to a better club team. I improved more in a year with like a state-ranked club team I joined than like 3 or 4 years with regular travel football. So the team you're on, the players you're around has a huge impact on how good you will become or how much you will grow, because you either have to get to that level or you sink away. There's really no choice if you want to kind of be able to play at that level. So you need to get to that point. Someone asked, can I do another Mohamed Salah analysis video? The reason I haven't done any analysis videos recently is because I've been getting hit with copyright after copyright after copyright, even some really bogus ones. So I've been taking a step back from analysis videos. I had a video recently, the ball hog video, the one that went over ball hogs, got hit with a copyright strike. So I don't make any money from it because I put a 10-second clip of Messi in there. And it shouldn't be copyright, but, you know, it's really hard to fight them. So with the analysis videos, I might take a bit of a break from them just because, yeah, I can do my own analysis is when I have more of my own footage. But because, like, it's just every time I upload one now, someone else comes in and says, oh, I'm going to take the money from this video, or I'm just going to take it down. So it's just not worth it. Yeah, no problem. What is the right time to dribble? Let me see this question on Instagram. From Miltos. Kolovos, when is the right time to dribble? Actually, it's a good question. So when is the right time to dribble and when is the right time to say pass or play safe and all that? So like there's no absolute right time to do anything. Like the thing about football is you have to be, you know, in the moment a lot. You have to react a lot. So there might be a situation where if you immediately start to dribble, it would be the right thing to do. But if you wait too long, the potential space you could have moved into closes up. So I would say there are certain positions that should be dribbling a lot more. Like if you're a winger and you have a defender isolated, those are usually good moments to dribble. You know, if you're a center midfielder that's surrounded all the time, might not be the best time to dribble. Like it's going to vary based on, you know, what's going on around you, what position you're playing. There's always going to be a risk in dribbling, so, you know, you have that to factor in as well. But if you're more of an attacking player, you can take more risks. A striker can dribble more than a center back. A winger is going to have a defender isolated a lot. And I'm a big fan of when you have a defender isolated and you don't have a pass on, to take him on, even at the risk of losing the ball, because, you know, you want to put that defender under pressure. You want to let that defender know, look, I'm going to run at you. I'm not scared to take you on. And those are kind of situations as well where I'm like, do it. You know, the amount of times I see a winger, for example, get the ball, has a lot of space in front of them, and at only one defender between them and getting a cross in or a shot off, yet only to turn back and pass it off, is way too many times. And so I would say, you know, it does take some time to get used to when you should dribble or when you shouldn't. But in my eyes, it's a lot of players don't dribble enough, especially attacking players. So definitely get used to dribbling more. Definitely take on players more and more, especially if you're an attacking player. Get used to doing that. If you're a younger player, you know, start developing the ability to do that because it's going to serve you so much more when you get older. But then there's the other end of the spectrum of over dribbling. You know, don't be that player who loses the ball all the time or doesn't play the obvious pass they should be playing, you know, something like that. So that comes down to soccer IQ a little bit, and you learn that the more you play. But yeah, you know, there are definitely situations, and I have a video, I believe, on YouTube about when to dribble and when to pass. So if you want some more examples, some more like actual game examples of that, take a look at that video because it'll give you like 3 or 4 specific examples of when to pass and when to dribble. All right, guys. So let's see what questions you got in YouTube this time. Hold on, let me scroll up and see what you guys have been asking. It's hard to look at like both chats and both screens at the same time. So it's so a lot of your questions kind of just scroll up without me getting a chance to see them. Okay. How to find the best time to nutmeg? For me, it's spontaneous. Like again, when it comes to moves, when it comes to like doing certain skill moves, a lot of it's in the moment. Like you can plan a lot. Like if I take someone one-on-one, I have a few default moves, but with nutmegs, I find like it's just in the moment, like instinctual. Like I can't really explain it. You can do certain things to encourage it, but I don't usually in a game look to nutmeg someone. Like I don't plan on nutmegging someone, for example, when I'm taking them one-on-one. It's kind of like if I know they think I'm going to go one way and the opening is there, in a split second, I might realize it and go for it. So, you know, that's a bit hard to do. Let's see here. Bye-bye. All right, guys, what other questions do you have? The Life of Tristan asks, is it good to play every day? So that's a good question. So it depends. Like it's not good to train intensely every single day because you need to give your body a rest. Now, everyone's going to be different based on fitness level, based on how much you've already played. You know, there's no one size fits all you know, because it's going to depend on what your fitness level is, your skill level, all this stuff. So when it comes to playing every day, I'm a huge fan of doing something every day because I believe, you know, you want to build up some momentum. You want to build up consistency. So even if on a rest day, you just go out for 10 minutes and kick a ball around lightly, do a few moves slowly, whatever it is. I'm a big fan of that because it allows you to keep that momentum going. But again, you need to listen to your body, because if you're, for example, training every single day and it's just like your body is beat up and you need a rest, you need to take it, because rest is as important as the actual workout. Your body needs that time to recover. If you're doing it every single day intensely and you don't give your body that time to recover, it's going to affect your performance the next time you train and the next time you play, and you'll be into your next game only at 70 or 80% because you didn't rest. So playing every day in some form, I think, is good, but not intensely. You should only have like a couple of intense, like where you are dead by the end of training kind of days. And I think even professionals at the highest level like only have like 1 or 2 really intense training sessions during the week leading up to the match. Some of them only have 1, and a lot of the other stuff is tactical, recovery based, strength training, all this other stuff, because they want to give their bodies time to recover. So yes, you can still do something, but it's not going to be the same. You're not going to be doing 2 hours of intense drills every single day, and you wouldn't want to either, because your body is not going to have time to recover, and it's going to affect your training in a negative way. But yeah, if you want to get touches on the ball in some small capacity every single day, I'm a huge fan of that. All right, guys. So how can I coach soccer intelligence? That's a great question from Two Guns, Two Boxing. How do you coach soccer intelligence? So, you know, it's an interesting one, because I'm trying to think of like how I learned, and one of the ways I learned to understand the game more was simply by watching it consciously. I think a great way of helping players to improve their soccer intelligence is showing them different situations they're going to be in before the match, and then they can kind of make the connection when they're in match. So one of the ways is obviously experience, but if you can also review game footage, for example, and so if you because I know you've asked me questions before, because I think you're training your kid. I can't remember if you train a youth team or not. But one way also, if you're able to film training sessions or matches, you know, you can highlight certain things, like you should have made the run here because you can see the space here. You look at all this space here. Look how this guy's here. And when you start making them recognize certain patterns, they'll be able to start picking it up, you know. So that's why watching games all the time and actually analyzing them works, because you start to notice patterns, and when you start to notice those patterns, you go into your own game and you start to recognize the patterns in your own game as well. So that's one of the ways to do it, and that's more the mental side, but that's what you want to do. You know, analyzing game footage, analyzing professional matches is a great way to do it. And it's just kind of doing that consistently and consciously instead of just passively watching games. All right, so let's see what we got in the comments on Instagram. I got a pro soccer academy trial coming. What can I do? It's too vague a question, man. You know, you need to be a little more specific. I have some videos on what you can do at a tryout. Like, my quick advice is just to go in confident and play your own game. You know, don't overcomplicate it, because if you start trying to play differently than you normally play, and start trying to be a player that you're not, that may actually hinder you during the tryout. But I have a video that goes over that if you want to check that out. So, okay, Juan asks, any tips on preparing to try out for a Division III college soccer team from a pretty disappointing high school season? Really messed up with my mentality. Well, we went over kind of this before, like how to get over mistakes and everything, and just kind of understand that, you know, it doesn't matter if you have a bad game, a bad season, you can always move on. Don't allow that to like drag you down and be something that doesn't allow you to progress in the future. So, I mean, luckily for you, what's it, March? So you have, if you're talking about this coming season, you have what, 4 or 5 months to train. That's enough time to really be able to work on your game to the point where you give a good showing at the tryout for the D3 school. I would say one thing is make sure that you are fit going into it, because, you know, again, in college soccer, they're not going to accept anyone really being unfit. So make sure you're going, and you have plenty of time to do that now, 4 or 5 months to make sure you're in shape. Do that, you know, make sure you do everything you can to improve your game. There really isn't much more to that. Be consistent. I understand that if you're coming off a bad season, that can really screw with you mentally. I have a free confidence boosting course that's only 7 days. If you want to check that out, that may give you some tools that will help you moving forward. So check that out, because that will help you with the mental side. But other than that, you know, just really take your individual training seriously. Really make sure you're doing deliberate practice and working on your game as much as possible. And you'll be amazed, if you're consistent over a 4 to 5 month period, how much you can grow in that time. Like, it's amazing, like even just for 30 days of consistent work, what you can gain from that if you actually do it to the best of your ability, do your best, and stay consistent. So, you know, just, you know, if you do everything within your power to be ready, you will most likely be ready. I have no doubt about that. All right. Okay, guys, so let's get a couple more in the YouTube chat right now. What time is it? 10:23. So we're gonna do like 10 more minutes or so. Let me scroll up. Crazy Star asks, please share some drills to learn juggling. There's so many tutorials on YouTube. I have one as well on juggling. Again, that's going to come down to a lot of consistency, but if you just search on YouTube how to juggle in soccer or in football, you'll find a ton of videos, great videos that'll show you how to do that. A lot of it's just going to come down to making sure you get out there and practice, but that's a simple one. All right, let's get a few. Let me scroll up and see what we have here. Anton Anho asks, how to be more aggressive. I think aggression, like if you're talking about defending and being able to, you know, not be timid and not be knocked off the ball, a lot of it comes down to your mentality. You want to go in with 100% committed to like your tackles, to keeping the ball, and all that. You know, the big thing is, if you go in, don't go in with the mentality of hurting anyone. Being aggressive doesn't mean you're trying to hurt anyone. It's just kind of like you're staying strong. You're not going to be bullied off the ball. You're going to go in with full commitment. And it's more of a mentality, I think. You know, obviously you need to train certain physical aspects. You need to strength train and do all this other stuff. But a lot of it also comes to your mentality. You could be someone who's a lot stronger than someone who's trying to take the ball off you. But if you don't have that kind of mentality of being tough or you know, being strong on the ball, you know, you might still get pushed off it. So a lot of it's mentality. You know, go in believing that you're going to be aggressive, that you're going to be strong on the ball, all this stuff. Obviously work on the strength and everything else. But if you go in like kind of scared or timid, then that's going to affect you. Go in with complete confidence, and that will definitely help you in that area. Soccer 6 Freestyle asks, how do you train your weaknesses? So the first part about training your weaknesses, and that's a good question. That's a really good question, because a lot of players will ignore their weaknesses so they don't have to work on it, obviously. So the best thing is, first you need to identify what your weaknesses are, and the best thing is just kind of look at your game and identify first what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and kind of what doesn't fall into that category. So and be like very brutally honest. I actually have a video that helps you identify your weaknesses and strengths. And then what I would do is I would first work on the weaknesses that pertain to your position. So for example, if you're a striker and finishing is not something you're not that great at, that's a weakness you want to focus on first, because it's going to deliver the most impact immediately into your position, into your game. So for example, if you're a striker and you have a weakness of slide tackling and finishing, which one is going to affect your game more? The finishing. So identify your weaknesses first, become very aware of them, and then think, which weakness, if I was to work on it, would have the most positive effect on my match? So do you have a bad weak foot? Will that have a huge positive effect on your match, or on your game, if you work on that area? So first determine your weaknesses, then determine which will be the best weakness to work on, which will have the most impact. And obviously you want to get to as many weaknesses as you can, but you only have so much time. So you want to start focusing on the ones that are going to have the biggest impact on your game. And it's the same with your strengths. You want to strengthen the strengths that are going to have the biggest impact on your game. So for, again, using the striker example, working on your finishing to the point where you can finish from every angle in any situation would be a really good thing to work on. All right, so let's get, we're going to get a couple more questions and we're going to call it a day, guys. I know this is a lot shorter than we typically do. So let's see what we got in the YouTube chat, and then we'll do a couple more on Insta. Let's see. How do you practice finishing? How do you practice finishing against a wall? Pick your spot. You know, you can get chalk and make markings on the wall. You can get tape and you can make things on the wall. You know, I know in the mind, it's not as satisfying to hit a wall than it is to see the net ripple, or to hit it off the post and in, or hit it in the upper corner, but you can just set targets. I mean, finishing is essentially being able to hit the target where you're aiming. So if I'm like, I'm going to hit the panel of the net, if I have good finishing, I'm able to hit it most times. So if you can put a spot on the wall and hit it against that wall with power and accuracy over and over again, that's going to develop your finishing. Now, of course, you want to be able to do this in many different situations, but from different angles and everything, but that's one way you can start, is just have a target or have a few targets. Like I used to get chalk and make X's on a wall that was behind my house, and I would do that in order to improve my accuracy, improve my finishing. So that's one way you can do it. There's really, there's no excuse not to work on these things. You don't need much. You need a ball, a wall, some space. Sometimes for a lot of stuff, you don't even need a wall. There's a lot you can do with very limited gear, and that's one of the things that makes football such a beautiful sport. It's why so many people play it, because if you have a ball, you're good to go. You're good to play. All right, let's see. Okay, let's get a couple more questions, guys, and then we're going to call it a day. Any of you on Instagram, if you have any last questions, I'll try and get to one of yours as well. What do scouts look for? Is it a player's technical ability, mentality, or attitude? That's going to depend on the scout. Every scout's going to have different preferences, every coach is. One of the things I'm going to be doing soon is I'm going to interview my college coach. So the coach I played for in college, and he's probably going to go over a lot of these things, which is like, what I'm going to ask him specifically, what do you look for when you're recruiting players? Like, what do you look for? Because he's recruiting college level players. So he's looking for a specific level of player. And I'm going to ask him, what are you looking for? Like, what's the first thing you look for when you see a player playing at a tournament, or you see him at a camp or whatever? Like, what did you see in me, for example, when you recruited me? What was the first thing? And I think, like, one of the things he's going to say for what he looks for in players, he's definitely going to say attitude and mentality, I think, because attitude and mentality is one of the most overlooked but most important aspects. Because if you have, for example, low confidence, it doesn't matter how skilled you are, because you won't be able to reveal that skill because you don't have the confidence to bring it out. If you have a terrible attitude, I mean, look at some of the players who are so talented in the professional game and yet keep going from team to team to team and never fulfill their potential because they because of their attitudes, because they keep fighting with their coaches, or because the team doesn't want that toxic attitude around. So attitude and mentality is so underrated but so important. But of course you need the technical ability, you need all that as well. You can't just be good mentally and have none of the physical traits, but the mentality, guys, is so important. The confidence is so important. Your attitude is so important. Are you a player who thinks they're so good that they're beyond any other any advice or tips from a coach? Or are you a player who's willing to learn, willing to be molded? Are you malleable? If you're that, then coaches are going to be much more inclined to want you on their team. Coaches like coachable players. There was a famous thing said about Michael Jordan, for you guys who I probably know who he is, but famous basketball player known as one of the best of all time. And one of his coaches said, what's great about Michael Jordan is he's the most coachable player I've ever worked with. So this guy's the best player in the world, yet he still listens and learns, or was the best player in the world, and he would listen and learn from these coaches, and he never came with this attitude of like, yeah, I'm Michael Jordan, I'm so good, I don't need your help. No, it was the opposite. He was like, what can you teach me? How can I improve even more? So that's an example of a good attitude. And Cristiano Ronaldo's like that. I guarantee it. Lionel Messi's like that. These are players who want to continually learn and get better and better and better. And that's why it seems every year they seem to like bring it up a level, and they're doing things that players in the past just haven't been doing. Okay, let's see. Mentally or technically, who would you choose, James Rodriguez or Phil Cuttino? I personally like Phil Cuttino more, and that might be a bias because obviously I'm a Liverpool supporter. But honestly, if I was thinking of it unbiasedly, I would still pick Cuttino. I think he's just a little bit better than James right now. But I think James is a really good player. He's playing well at Bayern. I think technically they're both pretty close. I think Phil Coutinho's smaller, has a lower center of gravity, so I think he's able to beat players a little more effectively. But James is, he's up there. But yeah, if I could put one more of those players on Liverpool, I would bring Coutinho back and put him back on Liverpool over James. But they're both world class, so it's not far off, I would say. And mentally, I would say Coutinho actually. I would say Coutinho mentally, but I think because I know when James wasn't getting into the Rodriguez wasn't getting into the team in Madrid, he moped around a little bit. And, you know, I hate to see that. You know, I like to see players who, when they're not getting into a team, especially one as good as Real Madrid, where you have to earn it, I like to see them knuckle down and work in order to do it. And then if it doesn't work out, they can move on. But I can't stand like a player moping around and going, life's so unfair because I'm not getting in the team. Well, then work harder. There's world-class players in every position in that kind of team. So you have to be on top of your game always. It doesn't matter how good you are. You have to show up every single day. So for that reason, I would probably go mentally with Cuttino. Let's see. All right, let's get what time? Let's get one more really, really good question. Let's see. All right, so Instagram or YouTube, we'll take either. We'll see. Whoever asks a really good question. Hey, Samuel underscore, I can't pronounce that, 21. Take a look at my free 7-day confidence course. That's gonna tell you everything you need to go. If you go to simplysoccerpro.com, Simply Soccer Academy, there's something that says 7-day confidence building course on there. If you sign up for that, it's totally free. You go through that. That's gonna help you with your confidence for sure. Let's see what else. Okay, so let's see what else. We're gonna do one more like kind of in-depth question if we can. And guys, remember, I can't get to all of your questions, so I'm sorry about that. We're going to be doing these live streams more in the future so that I can answer as many as possible. But, you know, it's really, really, it's impossible to answer every single one. So, and I'm also trying to answer the questions that couldn't be answered by a quick Google search or a quick YouTube search also. So if you ask something that could be easily searched on YouTube or Google and found within 5 seconds, I'm going to be more inclined to answer something else. So I want to answer the questions that are going to not be as easy to find. And real quick, Vegeta, are paid trials worth it? In my opinion, it depends, but when you can pay for something and anyone can pay for it and there's no like screening process, so literally someone who never has played football before could pay and get into a trial, I'm very dubious about that because I think it's more just they want to make some money. If they find like an incredibly good player at their trial, I mean, they'll take them. But I think like I've done that before where I tried out for a PDL team. I think I actually made it, but I made it not because of the tryout, because I made it through my coach, I believe. So basically, I just had to show up and show them I was a good player. But most players don't get through that process for paid trials, and I would be very careful with those, just because, yeah, they're not scams, so to speak, because again, if you're good enough and you are really good and you have a really good showing, and I mean, the coaches want good players on their teams, so you may still get selected, but I would say the main reason they hold them is to make some money. I would say that, because it's what, like some of them are like $200 a pop or something for what, a day of, you know, a day of pretty much just throwing everyone into a game and being like, good luck playing with these people you've never played with before and hopefully playing well and maybe playing out of position. So, you know, it's I would say building connections, just working on your game every single day so that when you actually get an opportunity, you're ready. And, you know, obviously developing connections with coaches, you know, developing them with other players is important also, because those connections will get you actual trials where the coach will be like, yeah, come to our training, we'll take a look at you, all that. You know, that's I think that's better. I wouldn't just pay for trials all the time. Let's see here. Okay, that wasn't the question, by the way. I just wanted to answer that real quick. So we'll do one more. I'm from England. I was born in Cambridge, but as you can tell from my lack of an accent, I'm been in America for a while. Oh, wow, Rahul, thank you so much. Super chat. If you have a question, man, let me know. I'll answer it. Thank you a lot, Rahul. I appreciate that, man. If you have a question, let me know. I'll answer your question. And let's see if we have anything. MLS or EPL, what do you think? Oh, Sorry, man. EPL all day. MLS is getting better and better. They're building better and better facilities. They're doing all this stuff, which I'm such a fan of. But EPL is light years at the moment ahead of the MLS. But again, the MLS is getting better. You know, I think they've got to do a lot with their. I mean, I've already gone over all this before. Their youth structure. I think they have to do a lot with, you know, their wage structure. There's a lot they have to do, but it's getting better. And the quality of some teams is becoming really good. They're bringing over good players. So I'd say, you know, if it keeps on this track, like 10, 20 years from now, hopefully MLS will be up there. We'll see, though. We'll see if that happens. Rahul, I'm still looking to see if you have a question, man. If you're just donating, man, I really appreciate that as well. Thank you so much. Here we go. I answered your question. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Okay. So let's do one more. And I just saw one that I think is pretty cool. Although we kind of have gone over that already. Let me see. All right, we'll do this one. We've already kind of talked about this, but we'll do this, and then height or talent. I don't understand that question. Height or talent. Your height. If you're worried about your height, there are players at every level of height. Don't worry about your height. You can still play pretty much at any height. Okay. Let me get back to this question because someone asked, okay, I play for the LA Galaxy Academy and I was dropped. What do I do? So again, and I'll answer another question after this because I've already talked about this. Again, and with any setback, man, take it as a learning experience. Just because you're dropped from a team, just because a game doesn't go your way, it doesn't matter. Like, learn from the experience and move on. There are plenty of players, you know, I mean, you only have to look at stories like Jamie Vardy. You only have to look at stories like Antonio for West Ham, like, to know that it doesn't matter if one coach doesn't like you. Another coach might love you. You know, it doesn't matter if one team doesn't deem you good enough. You could, within a year, train, become so much better, and then play on a better team. Like, you know, how many... For example, like, I'm pretty sure Jamie Vardy was looked when he was younger, these bigger teams looked over him and didn't want him. And then he got to a point where he made it to Leicester, into the Premier League as a Premier League winner, and is now playing for a team that's higher than those other teams that didn't want him. So a lot can change. Don't worry. You know, if you get cut, I understand that sucks. But the best thing you can do is think, why did I get cut? So what did the coaches tell me? Anything I need to work on? You know, what can I do? And then work on those areas and just do everything you can. And Harry Kane, yeah, Harry Kane's a great example. Like, Harry Kane, it looked like he wasn't going to make it at Tottenham at first, and then now he's one of the best players in the world. I mean, look at how he changed so much in such a small amount of time. Things will change, guys, if you put in the work. You're consistent. You know, you don't beat yourself up over past mistakes, okay? So things can change very quickly. Yeah, and Harry Kane, they didn't put him into the Arsenal Academy, so he went into the Spurs Academy. Rest is history. But also, like, his rise was very quick. Like, he was in the Tottenham youth system as like a hot prospect, but no one foresaw is Dave 40. I am not, yeah, I'm actually 85, guys. All right, so let's get one more. Let's see what Instagram's saying. Okay, here's a question. All right, so this is the last question we're going to do, guys, and then we will wrap it up. We'll do some final thoughts just because I got to get out of here. But Samuel asks, I tried to do skills during the match, but my friends often scold me. This has reduced my confidence. Well, I think I suggested you go into that confidence course, man. So the first thing I'm going to say is get it. It's free. So, again, you can find it on my channel. It's linked. You can find a video that links to it. SimplySoccerPro.com, Simply Soccer Academy on that website. Get the free confidence course. That's going to help you so much with your confidence. And in that course, I go over something, you know, about how to deal with others. You know, you got to do what you got to do. You got to improve, you know, and not worry about what other people think of you. You know, if you're doing a skill and someone like scolds you for it. Now, there's a difference. If you're doing like skills all the time and you keep losing the ball, that's going to get frustrating. But if you're doing like they're just getting mad at you for trying things and taking risks, you just got to kind of learn to ignore that. You know, you're going to get players like that all the time. And you're going to come across people who that you can't please them anyway. So they're just not, they're never happy, and they just take it out on everyone else. So really just, Michael, you didn't get the confidence thing, really? All right, I'm gonna manually enter you in. But you know, get that confidence course because I think it's gonna help you a lot because it goes over a lot of the things you're talking about. But yeah, again, like the quick answer is you can't worry about what other people think. Now, again, you don't go to the other end of the spectrum where you're just like being really silly with it. You know, you have to self-analyze yourself. You have to like be like, am I doing these skill moves too much? Am I losing the ball too much? But you can't really worry too much about what other people think. So I would say, as far as that goes, just get into that course, and it's going to help you a lot. All right, so I think we some other people. All right, anyone who has not got the confidence course, email me and tell me, because I need your email to put you in so I can manually enter you if you are having trouble. Do I use a treadmill? I do. I will do interval training on treadmills sometimes. So any of you who are not getting into how does confidence help? Confidence will be the difference between you being a high-level player and a player who's not. It's so much more important than people realize. It is huge. I don't care how skillful you are, if you don't have confidence, you won't be able to play well. Oh, Rahul, again, man, thank you so much, man. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. I'm glad the content's helping you. And guys, if you want my email, it's simplysoccer08@gmail.com. And guys, if this is for if you are not able to get into the course, okay? All right, guys. Raul, I really appreciate that, man, a lot. Thank you so much. I'm glad to hear the content has helped you become better. I really do appreciate it. All right, guys, so I think we're going to wrap it up there. You're saying you got my email. For those of you who are wondering about the confidence course, you can get it by going to simplysoccerpro.com and going to Simply Soccer Academy and then going down to the confidence course, okay? So if you do that, it'll ask you for your email, you sign up, and it will be sent to you. It's a 7-day course where you do 1 lesson a day, and if you are struggling with your confidence, get it. It's free, guys. Like, I made this so you guys can keep going. You know what? We'll go for a little bit longer. You know what? Since Raul donated some money there, you guys can thank Raul. I'll stay on a little longer. We'll stay on for 5 more minutes, okay? But yeah, you need to sign up there. Definitely all of you get that. Again, I just told you my email. I'll put my email in the chat, okay? I'm going to put my email in the chat so you guys can access it. Just don't spam my email at all. So here's the email for the channel. Okay, so if you are not able to get into the confidence course, okay, it's simplysoccer08@gmail.com. If you're not able to get into the confidence course, make sure that happens. So, Johan the Go asks, when's the college coach interview coming out? Probably, what's it, March? Probably by the end of the month or early next month. I have to go up and interview him. I'm going up to train a little bit with the team because I'm coming off an injury to get back into match fitness. So while I'm up there, I'm going to interview my college coach. We'll probably do a few different topics. So look for that around the end of this month or early next month. I want to get it out pretty soon. So that we can, so that I can get that to you guys, because I know college recruitment time is coming up. It's coming up, guys. You know, summer's when they'll start preseason, and I know a lot of you are going to want to know how to actually, you know, impress some college coaches. So I'll get that out to you. And also, I may, if I haven't asked yet, but I'm going to try and get an interview with the coach, the assistant coach up there, who I know as well, who is a goalkeeper coach, because I know I don't have any goalkeeper videos. So I want to get some goalkeeper, you know, an interview with him to go over what college goalkeeper coaches look for, you know, what, because I know a lot of you, some of you are keepers and don't, there's not that much information on goalies on YouTube, unfortunately. Okay. All right, guys. So we're gonna stay 5 more minutes. Again, you can thank Raul because he donated very kindly to the stream. So we're gonna do about 5 more minutes, and then we will wrap it up. Daniel James asks, how do I train for an upcoming football match? Don't do anything different. Like, I would say, you know, one of the biggest things you don't want to do is overcomplicate it and start doing, you know, because a lot of players, like, the game's coming up and they'll get nervous. They're like, I have to do this, I have to do that. But, you know, let your training do what it's intended to do. Keep the consistency going with your training. You know, I would take a rest day before the match, or a light day where you do some stretching, maybe some light work, nothing too crazy. But like the week leading up, you can work on things maybe that are weaknesses. You can work on things you think you're going to do in the match. You know, professional teams do that. They'll work on tactics, set pieces. You know, players will work on things they're going to do on the match. But, you know, it's you don't do anything too different. You don't want to overcomplicate it. Oh, here's a good question. Do I think coaches have favorites? So, like, a favorite player? They do. Okay, so look, coaches are human. Like, you guys have favorite players you watch. You guys may even have favorite coaches. I have no idea. But what I do know is that, yeah, sure, some coaches have favorites. The thing is, though, with coaches, now, good coaches have favorites because they're their favorites for the right reasons. So they have good attitude, they work hard, they're good at what they do. And that's why it's a coach's favorites. Now, I'm not saying there aren't coaches that have favorites in a very biased way where they just like the person and they maybe shouldn't be getting in the team. That definitely happens. But one thing you can do is just be cool to your coach. You know, don't suck. You know, don't be a jerk to your coach. Listen to your coach. Be coachable. And if you're coachable, you know, one thing that coaches love is players who are coachable. So be willing to learn, and that's one way to get on your coach's good side. Like with my college coach, I always wanted to learn more, and same with my club coach, all this stuff. And, you know, if you like come up to your coach as well and be like, what can I improve on? Can you help me here? Can you help me there? I think will also get you on the good side of your coach. So another donation. Thank you so much from player 132576892. How can I get into a pro academy in England? I don't know how old you are, but I mean, the biggest thing you can do is again, work on your game every single day. There's no like secret, by the way, to this. Like, there's no secret to getting on an academy. You know, the best thing to do is just work on your game every single day, be consistent, continually try and get better and better and better. There's no real luck involved, and then just put yourself in the right situation. So you need to get yourself on a team where people are going to be scouting around. Like, I know in England, you know, it's a lot more. They'll be scouting youth matches. So get yourself on a team, you know, so you can demonstrate what you've been practicing, what you've been learning, and how good you are. I would say work on your confidence as well. If you're young, really work on your mentality and really work on the fundamentals, you know, because that's what's going to help you moving forward. But yeah, to get into an academy, you need to get yourself in front of the right people as well. But work on your game individually as much as you can, and make sure you're playing in matches in some kind of league, because that's where they're going to be. That's where a scout might just happen to be. You know, if you're not playing on a team, you need to get on a team, because you're not just going to be training individually on the street one day and a scout's going out doing their afternoon, you know, grocery shopping or something. It's like, oh, this guy looks pretty good, I'll put him in my academy. No, it's going to be at matches. So someone said Raul donated $52 US. That's awesome. I had no idea how much that was. So thank you so much, Raul. Again, we're going to keep going for a little bit, and you guys can thank Raul for that, for being very generous and donating to the stream. So let's see what else we got here. Oh, okay. I like this. I like this question. It says, what to do when you want to train, but it's hard to start. And again, like with so much of this stuff I'm giving you guys, it's so simple. And what you do is you just do it anyway. I mean, I know that sucks, but there's nothing, I mean, there's nothing you're going to be able to do to motivate yourself more. But if you just get into it, like if you're not motivated to go to the field, force yourself to go, and then like within 5 or 10 minutes of getting into the training, you'll be into it. Like, you have to understand, what you're feeling right now is not indicative of what you're going to be feeling 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour from now, a day from now. I mean, I'm sure there are days where we felt really, really bad, but then the next day we felt really good. Like, your feelings and emotions and motivation will change, you know, like the weather. Like, it'll change from time to time. So if you're not feeling it, go anyway. And this is what, like, motivational coaches say. This is what Jocko Willink says when he says, you know, the difference between him and a lot of other people is that even on days when he doesn't want to go to the gym, he still goes to the gym. You know, even if the workout's not going to be as good because you don't have as much energy or whatever it is, still go, because you're building that muscle as well of being consistent and of not allowing resistance to pull you down, if that makes sense. So just start. You know, the best way to do anything is just start. Even if you don't have all the information, even if you think you're not ready, you know, no one's ever ready. You just got to start it. You just got to go. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. All right, so let's get a few more questions, guys, and then I will have to end because I got to get out of here before 11. So let's get a couple more. Should you practice? Whoops. I'm back. At what age? Okay. Why do I get nervous in front of goal? That's actually pretty simple. The higher the higher the pressure in a situation, the more nervous you're going to get. So when you are in a situation where you can score a goal, obviously you're more nervous. Taking penalties is nerve-wracking. Playing in games like finals and semifinals allows for more nerves. So with finishing and goal scoring, one of the reasons it's one of the hardest skills in football is because it's one of the most pressure situations. So if you're in front of goal, even when it comes to like tap-ins, a lot of players get nervous. So to train this, one thing is repetition, repetition, repetition. I'm answering quite a few questions. It's repetition after repetition after repetition. So when you're in front of goal, what I would say is, you know, if you practice your finishing enough, hold on one second. Goodbye, guy. If you practice your finishing enough over and over and over again, you'll get so used to it that you don't get as nervous because you've practiced over and over and over again. Another way is, you know, just working on your confidence in general. So again, going through that confidence course, but it's very normal to be nervous in those kind of pressure situations. I would just say, you know, don't worry too much about it because it's natural, and just continually work to be more confident in those situations by practicing those situations. Like anything you're nervous about can be solved a lot of the time through practice, through repetition. So if, for example, you're nervous taking someone one-on-one, what's a great way to work on that? Practice that exact area. You know, if you're nervous when you're in front of goal, practice that exact area. And once you start practicing it enough, you start to lose those nerves a bit more. You start to back yourself a lot more. But working on your confidence in general is also important. We got like a little fight going on in the Instagram chat. All right, guys, let's get one more question. One more question, guys. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate that, man. Thank you a lot. At what age did I start to play football? I started to play, we'll get one more after this. I started to play like if you're talking like when I was first kicking a ball around, I was like 2 or 3. You know, if you're talking like team, I was like 5 or 6, you know, as early as I could, I think. But I was playing since I was could barely walk. Technically, I guess I was kicking a ball around. Okay, last question. I like this question, so we're gonna go over that. Okay, 2 questions. Is speed genetic? I think a lot of it can be, but you can improve. There are ways to improve your speed, so don't use that as an excuse to not do it. But here's the last question I want to answer. And he asked, Dave, do you think players in developing nations have an advantage in technical ability over players in developed nations by playing street football? So there actually is something to this, because a lot of times the reason why South American players, Brazilians, Argentinians, you know, the Messis, the Cuttinos, the Ronaldinhos, the Ronaldos, these players usually have such great skill because they learn on the street, or they play what's called futsal. I don't know why I said that like that. You all know what futsal is. And so they develop a lot of skill because they play on the street. Now, does that mean they have an advantage? Not at all. I mean, you could do exactly the same thing. It's not that Brazilians are better because they're Brazilians. They're better because the nation loves the sport, and kids are playing in the street like every single day. So they become really, really good through practicing those skills, through playing futsal all the time, all that stuff. But that doesn't mean they have an advantage. You could do the exact same thing and develop the same skills by playing futsal, by playing, you know, playing street ball, by practicing on your own. The reason they get so good is because they're doing that every single day, because they love the sport as well. And because, you know, it's not actually a talent thing. It's just because they're doing that all the time. But yeah, I would say one reason Brazil, Argentina, they produce such good players is because it's like a cultural thing for kids to be playing football on the street. Like and that's the great thing about football. You don't need much. Like I said, you need a ball and a street and you're good to go. So would I say it gives them an advantage? Only if players in other countries aren't playing. That's about it. The advantage it gives them is they're getting a lot of touches on the ball and playing, but if you're also doing that, they don't really have an advantage over you, if that makes sense. You know, again, it comes down to how much you're playing, how much you're practicing, how consistent you are. And really, for most cases, that's the way it goes. All right, guys. Well, Instagram's about to shut off on its own, so that's going to be ended. But I think we're going to end it now, guys. We've gone a lot over what I was originally going to do, but we went a little longer because Raul was very generous in donating some money to the stream. I do not play cricket, so we're going to get out of here. Instagram, I'm going to end this now because it's going to end in a second. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, but I have to end it because it's going to shut off in about a moment. Thanks to guys once again, and take care. And for you guys on the YouTube stream, we will be doing this again next Sunday. If not on Sunday, we will be doing it Saturday or something. But I'm going to try and do these twice a week if possible. But there are some more videos coming as well, so you'll have those to look forward to. I'm planning a couple videos next week. I just got a new camera as well, so that's gonna be cool. So hopefully they'll be better quality. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the stream. I'm at the point where I'm losing my voice, so I know it's time to go. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate you all stopping by, and I will see you either in the next video or in the next stream.